Hello.
Okay, can I start or?
You can start, definitely you can start.
Because it's a bit strange to know that there are a lot of people there and I don't see anyone. So it's kind of almost like talking in a bubble, and I hope that
But do you see my face at least?
I see at least your face, yes. So it's, you know, probably many people are living in a bubble right now and trying to open space. Just welcome all of you, and my name is Bert, and I'm a rolfer since '82. And but before that, I had studied psychology, and I worked as a psychotherapist in Gestalt, and I was rolfed in Esselen in Big Sur, where I spent sort of a year in '74. And that's where I met not only rolfing, but the whole movement related to bringing the psyche and the body and the soul and consciousness in a perspective. And one of the most important things for me in that time was, and I'm still with that experience, is that I met a Buddhist teacher, Chogyam Trungpa. And one of the things that is sort of in a nutshell what impressed me was a statement of him, a saying about good news and bad news. And he said the bad news is we are all in a free fall, no parachute, and that's how it is. And the good news is, as he said, is there is no ground. So that was his amazing, in essence, his teaching. There are two views. One, when you live in your ego, when you live in the three-dimensional space-time, or when you open up. So in a way, this statement is for me kind of the opening of what I'm trying to talk about with you, is the crack in the cosmic egg. Actually, you know, I just give an answer easy, is there is no crack in the cosmic egg. Rather, that is when we are in the bad news message. You know, there's a free fall, no parachute, and here we go. So there is where ego tries to make a model of where this world is about, what we are doing in this time here, where we're grasping on, what gives us a meaning and what gives us a sense of importance. And the good news in saying there's no ground is an opening. And in some way, rolfing, you know, in what Dr. Rolf gave us was a model, like in the 10 sessions and the line space. But she was also talking a lot about the energy field around us and how when we organize the body, when we organize the tissue, there's a support coming. We start using the energy, we start feeling the energy. And not only is she talking about maybe an electromagnetic field, as she is explaining in her book Rolfing, and chapter 12, where she is suggesting that there is a causal field, which we can't measure yet. So she would not try to do that. She would like to keep her hands on what she can measure, which is the body, and which is the tissue, and has their theories about it. But in a way, you could say she places rolfing in a bigger space. In that space, sort of like we all talk about gravity in rolfing, but in a way she uses gravity to bring us out of gravity. It's like she uses gravity to put us in time, to put us really right here, in order that we can sort of open up and open up and in a healing space, as you could say. It's like in a healing nest. But as it is with all great people, is that they are kind of a mentor to us. You know, it's like they don't even just give you a tool, but they talk about it in a way that it is challenging. So that makes Rolfing not so easy if you want to have a technical explanation. Well, you can get the model. But you know, you get to model, but you want to get the experience. And the interesting thing in Rolfing is that you get a first-hand experience when you are Rolfed. And then, as you train for a Rolfer, you have the chance to give that experience to someone else. And while you're doing that, you're sharing that with others who are also practicing or working in that same perspective. So we kind of have a sangha, you know, we have a kind of, and we have mentors. And that's so essential to what the guild of structural integration really is. And you know, maybe not all, that Ida Rolf started her organization as the Guild of Structural Integration, where she included mentorship as an important thing. Later became the Rolf Institute of Structural Integration and the Dr. Rolf Institute of Structural Integration. But her root teachers, who were trained by her, decided at a certain point they felt better with the guild. They felt better with that whole practice of mentorship and the vision that was in where Rolfing was embedded in. So also Peter Melchior, who was my trainer, very much talked about space, talked about possibilities of experiencing and giving that experience in the world, embodying the kind of space and spiritual experience in the body, through the body, which is what a lot of people feel when they sort of Rolfed. Their perception is changing, the motivation is changing. You know, it's like they have a different experience, maybe not forever, but at least for some moments, sometimes micro moments. But then the interesting thing of that is you want to explore those micro moments. And so for me, that is also the kind of search that I personally took. So that space is called in many different ways. I was reading in the book Golf in the Kingdom from Michael Murphy, the founder of Esalen. And in that book, Golf of the Kingdom, he is bringing in the notion of true gravity. Like we have gravity, but there's true gravity. And true gravity, in his sense, was the joining of awareness, delight, and embracing force. It was like opening into the universe, so to speak. And in the Golf of the Kingdom, his book, he used the golf as a metaphor or as a practice for getting yourself in line, getting yourself grounded in order to be open and to sort of unite the whole, the stick, the vision all in one. So it was like a view that was also at the same time a kind of therapeutic relationship. And it's like you connect with everything to find the nest wherein you can abide. And it's that notion of abiding, finding a nest, that certainly also in psychotherapy is a very important theme, because it's like the ego is maybe grasping a lot for security and wanting to find something that gives sense or meaning, maybe in a hedonistic sense or in a very sort of putting yourself first, or the me or the you aspect. So it's the therapeutic relationship is kind of saying, well, it's okay to let go. It's okay to not to be afraid. It's okay to not grasp into all kinds of events and money or interesting things in order to get away from that now that feels like we are in a free fall. There's no ground. So that's human experience, almost like an existential experience of fear of not finding and sort of grasping in, changing that in finding ground, finding sustainability, finding human relationship, finding warmth, finding awareness, finding mindfulness as a quality that we all have. So it's to me, that's a kind of challenge in the therapy, but also evolving. The moment you start connecting to someone, that you start evolving, it's like you're opening the therapeutic relationships. That's at least how I like to present it also in the classes that I was giving for the guild. That if you can create that human relationship, that natural state, then, and trust that in your work as a rolfer, you get information, you will be informed. And because you are in, and through your touch and through your work, your clients are informed, will be informed. This is how perception opens.
Bert, sorry, I missed you, just the little sentence. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, sorry. I missed it a little bit, so I don't know if it was a worldwide thing or just me and you. Just me.
Okay. Is there any comment from people that they don't hear me?
Okay, let's see. Sorry, you were talking about this, the free fall. I didn't want to interrupt, but there was this moment that there was a problem. It came through just fine for us. Okay, you go on. It was just me.
No obstacles. That's
great,
good.
Great.
Yes, we have always obstacles, like we're rolling, but we connect, we reconnect. The thing that I feel is quite important too is that the whole notion of line, there may be some stalling. The notion of line and space. And I feel that is such an opportunity to line and space to come in the here and now. And sort of to really come into time and not just away in the future or in the past or wanting to do this and that, but just coming to yourself. And for me, the line and is something that is just part of my life. It's when I meditate or sit or be somewhere, it's somehow always that line that can help me when I'm not sort of in there and with myself for a moment, to connect, to breathe, to make space. And so somehow when that line is there and there's some space, then there's no concern about the line anymore. Then there is something taking over. And to me, that moment is like what you would say, healing the crack in the cosmic egg. because in a way, the idea of a cosmic egg is a model. And so it by necessity has a crack in there, because it's kind of not seeing the whole picture, not seeing the whole thing. And that can be psychologically, socially, culturally. And to me, there is the wonderful thing in Rolfing that touched me when I was Rolfed in '74. And it took me about 6 years to decide that I wanted to study Rolfing, because it came back. It came back. Is it okay?
I'm back, Bert. So I have problem with my connection. So
Okay.
okay, now I'm back.
I don't know how it is with the others.
No, it looks like everything is fine. So
Okay.
okay.
Connected, all good. Okay. So I don't know. You know, I'm tried to link a few things together, and I hope you're with me still. And so my opening statement about the good news and the bad news, I think, was kind of the leading, maybe you could use as a leading motive, leading for what I was trying to introduce in saying healing the crack in the cosmic egg. And I guess that is that's a whole human mind, body, soul, spiritual experience. And I feel that's where we can place Rolfing, where we can place our work. It's in that big field of integration, integrating the body, the mind, the soul, spirit. And actually, Ida Rolf was talking about it in her book, about that there was not only an electromagnetic field around the body, but a causal field. And she's mentioning that also in her chapter, where she's talking about the function as a relationship. And for her, that relationship was not just a relationship in the body. That's a question.
Yeah. So anybody has got a question for Bert? Bert, can I ask you something?
Yes, of course.
While people feel free to ask question, I'm asking something. I mean, I was kind of intrigued about the bad news and good news, or the free falling, and the fact that there is no floor, so
no ground.
No ground. You can keep on falling, and this with the fact that you said that bring the person into gravity is like finding the person in the moment.
Yes.
So the continuous free fall and being in the moment every time is like if there is no ground, like, how can I? It's like you know.
Yes. You know, it is a notion of what is needed to open into space. We need to perfectly enter into time. We need to enter in this physicality and not sort of make it non-material. This is what it is. We are born with this body, with our senses, with this brain. And so it's actually in this reality of time and space, that's where it is centered. And what you see is with our mind, we are very often looking away. We want to help solve problems by sort of thinking about future. Well, if I do this, that and that will happen to me. If just that doesn't happen, what happened in the past? So it's our mind is taking us away from the body. It's taking us away from the senses. And so what you do, and that's the same in meditation, you know, like you just sit in your chair, you put your feet on the ground, and you relate to gravity. You actually take this as real and totally using it as it is made. You know, we didn't make the body, so it's absolutely where we're born in, which we will leave, but this is what we have. So if we want to get away from it by just escaping, then there's a problem. So in Buddhist sense, is saying, well, you know, if you really come where, you know, to meet ends, you have that here and now. When you do it here and now, this is where it is. And the magic is that the moment you become in the here and now, using this gravitational field, because Newton formulated gravitation not for the universe, but as an aspect, because he was an occult teacher, scientist. He believed in chakras, he believed in energy, but he defined gravitational fields as ways to understand how we can move things and do things, you know. And in that sense, it's like really coming into the reality of this world, in this life, in this measurements. And at the same time, when you do that, it is almost like then there's something opening. So then you can leave what is there. It's like you're totally integrate and synthesize with what is there. And that's the magic of saying, well, and then you find out there's just space. So if you go in a practice with yourself, you might find existential values that you meet, like isolation, what is freedom, you know, what is death. And when you sort of can join with them, can meet them, you will find that there are openings, and somehow in a way we sort of try to escape those questions. You know, we want to make parties and have good time and all that, and yet we know that at a certain point, you know, we started, so to say, from nothing and we end in nothing, and there's kind of that crack that we looking in and trying to fill out in these years that we're here. And spiritual teachers, of course, offer you ways to practice so that you can understand, on one hand, the level there where you are and where you come from or go to. So it's like there's nothing that what is changing, what is, and my life is changing, our bodies are changing, we will get it from young old. There's nothing that I can grasp on forever. And so there is a kind of that deep sense that if you abide to this life, to the rules of the laws of physics, it's an entrance door to other dimensions, a way to get out of time-space. Oh, that was a long answer, wasn't it?
So Dan is asking if we can make it more clear what we mean with the sentence "crack in the egg." If we can be more
okay. From this view of there is no ground, there is no crack. Everything is related, you know. Everything is functional and related. So the crack in the cosmic egg is very much the ego aspect of not start to bring things and meet, it doesn't work. And so when we see that, we can see the crack in the cosmic egg. We can see the crack in the model, the cultural model. You know, we have economical people, we have politicians like Trump, who think he has a feeling how things should be connected and what is true, what is not true. But it's all interrupted reality. It's nothing to do with reality in a way. But it's a way how culture tries to make an understanding of the whole. And from a Buddhist perspective, that's an ego grasping, trying to fit, try to to fit, you know, make the game fit. But in the end, when everything stops and gets in a break and on a pause and a stillness, it's something else that takes care of us, you know, where we can open up to.
You're talking about presence now.
Yes.
So there was a question, another question. I don't know, Dan, if we have answered. Otherwise, let me know. And Elena is asking. She's wondering: is the fascia the interface for the connection between body and mind, and therefore could we intend fascia as the embodiment of the spirit?
Well, the spirit is. We say very often the body is the home of the spirit, but if we work on the home, we work on the fascia, we work on the connection of the fascia into the cells in the extracellular liquid. So we are really giving it its space, and because of that, we have sort of not removing conflict in the body. We get a sense of connection. Like the connective tissue is kind of the tissue of connection. Is giving you that sense of wholeness. And so because of that, touching that wholeness, that's what makes things whole in the body. It's the measurement for consciousness, for spirituality. That's how I see it. And so working, you know, we keep working on understanding how we can work with the fascia and the body and exchange experiences and all that. But basically what we all feel also in classes or when we work on each other, there is something special happening. And I guess so the fascia is, of course, in the physical body quite important for integrating the structure, the organism. But it is kind of the, as who was it, Elena?
Elena, yeah.
Elena said, it is kind of the key. But it's not similar to the spiritual, but it's where the body abides to. Space. Whole and holy, yes.
Bert, there is a question from Alish. Alish is saying,
Yes.
Given what you said, the relationship between practitioner and clients becomes the most important aspect of SI work. It's more a sentence than a question. Then there is yes, but a question mark.
I agree. I think it's in that interchange between, you know, even if we start the training as practitioners working between each other, you know, that's where it starts. That's where we share that space, and then we start studying it. And you have wonderful tools, you know, to talk about that, give hands to the body in a way that we just feel how we are connecting in ourselves and how we are connecting to the others. And so when we start working with clients, it's like when you work the whole day, let's say 5 people a day, it's like you creating a temple almost, like you have your tools and you do what you do, but there's something that is in the motivation area created by sharing that space. That's my experience. So I feel that I learned so much from working with clients. And also you know, I also do psychotherapy, which is basically the same. We're sitting there, we're taking space, and, you know, we suffer, we have neurotic tendencies, but we bring them together in the presence. We breathe, we sit, and we talk while we sit. And in a way, when I roll a person, it's maybe less starting from talking, but it's like
it becomes a meeting point. And the body is the meeting point. The breathing is the meeting point.
So Aleš comment is now, so we don't work on people, but in people and with people, yeah, clearly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's not on people, or we're not fixing, you know, it's not, because that is sort of bringing you out of what Rolfing really is. Rolf, you know, actually, I was just thinking of that Peter Melchior in my class, which was in 83 or 82, I don't remember, brought in that he had once a discussion together with Emmett and Ida Rolf just before she died. And they asked her, do you think that you can Rolf a body without touching it? And he said she had to think quite long, and then she said yes. And Peter Melchior in that class sort of, because we were talking about space, you know, when, you know, we're sitting together and we're opening space, it's almost already happening. That's what his point was, you know. And he said, but then to work this out, I leave it to you, which we're the practitioners. See what you do with it in time. But you know, Peter it was such his way of how he was teaching. He was just not talking too much while we were working. He had wonderful introductions, but then while we were working, he was like a red Indian, watching the space. He was there with everyone. And so you got that feeling of protection, of a nest. And that gave trust, even if you didn't know what to do, or at least in the end of the session, you know, you shared, was so miserable, I lost my way and all that. And it was valued, you know, you congratulate yourself by admitting that you didn't know. And how many of you didn't, you know, got to the point where you said, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's in that not knowing, sharing it, that there's an opening. And so that's that kind of what I call the therapeutic relationship. You know, it's like I said it, the universal healing ground. There's a universal healing ground. And I think that what I appreciate so much also with Aleš, how he set it up, he really connected to those ground teachings of Ida Rolf. And I think Peter and Emmett were certainly an expression of that. They, you know, when you met them and you were in a workshop, it was just, we were creating a space, sharing, and had some good drinks too afterwards. Yeah.
I have this experience every time Emmett worked on me. Is like it worked on me on private session or during the demo or in the class. And I always had this feeling, so strong feeling that whatever he was doing when he was next to me, I was in his energy field. And
Yes.
even if he was talking to someone else, he never leave me alone on that table. And
Yes,
it was like, it's something that I cannot describe with any better word, but the emotion that are associated with that are for me are so, it's so neat that when I think about that, I still go back there in that moment of presence with him, and it was extraordinary.
Yes. That was true. Yeah, wonderful.
Oh, Alan Richardson. Alan is asking, could you please say a little bit more about the importance of line and space?
Well, the moment the tissues start opening, you know, the ribs, and there's a movement taking place. There's that sense of space coming in. But you need, you know, it's that bipolar model of Dr. Rolf, where she's saying you need the pelvis, the pelvic structure, and then on top of it, the spine and the head. So in a way, you would say you need to open the pelvic structure, the space there, in order to support once for in the opening of the pelvis, you start opening the space for natural support. And so their line is kind of the moment you find ground, you find support in your pelvis, it's where you start picking up on an energy. And I think the line is kind of, at the end, it's just an energy movement, an awareness of energy in relating the pelvis to your head and the poles together. So the line is, to me, not something physically, like physical thing that you see, but it's more what you see also in the movement. You see, there's there is line, which means there is movement connected from the core. And it's not like, it is a feeling that radiates from the body. When you feel it in yourself, maybe a microsecond, it is that kind of freedom. So that's how I would say that's the line and the energy, the space that could be an invitation, by touching, the touch in the body, the breathing, through the breath, touching the inner. It's sort of necessary condition for the line to open.
Okay, Bert, there are other questions.
Yes.
Before I'll read the question to you. We have 20 more minutes, more or less.
Okay.
And you want to guide us through a meditation, or?
Yes, I would like to do where the light comes in. Yes, that's good. I would like to do a small guided meditation, and it's kind of a role thing on distance, you could say. We call it meditation, or we call it whatever, but this is kind of how I would like to introduce you to how I sort of think about connecting the body in sitting and in the experience of rolfing. So if you just all make yourself comfortable, I don't know if you're sitting on a chair or sitting on a pillow. I'm sitting on a chair. And so, with all the thoughts and the things that we said, we try to connect to ourselves for a moment. Where you are is where you can meet yourself in your body. And especially in the connection of the body with the ground, feeling the weight of the body, for instance, in connection with the underground, your feet on the ground. So the weight of the body, and the weight of the body in contact with itself. If you have your arms or hands on your lap or in your legs, you feel the weight of that. And so we use the body and the weight as a focus for our awareness. And in feeling that gravity, the gravitational force, we can use it to support our spine, shoulders, and head. And you may even imagine that there's a sort of imaginative hand and an imaginative thread that pulls you a little bit up and then lets you down. And then you can connect to your breathing and see where you meet your breathing in the body. Maybe in your belly, in your chest. And breathing in and breathing out is a natural thing. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to force it. And you breathe in and breathe out and use it as the moment-to-moment experience of being with yourself. And maybe in the meantime, you notice that your thoughts might go on, or that you're sort of drifting off with a thought or emotion or a feeling. You notice that and bring your awareness back to your body and your breathing as a kind of anchor for this moment. So using the body and breathing as a focus for your awareness in the here now. And what is interesting is maybe the moments that when you breathe out, just before you breathe in, there's a sort of neutral position. As well as when you breathe in, just before you breathe out. And those moments, stillness, you can use to connect to what presence is, stillness. Breathing in, breathing out. And sometimes maybe you can do an extra breathing if you feel like deepening the contact with your body. You breathe in, you're breathing in your body. Maybe feeling the borders of your body. And then breathing out, letting go of what you want to let go of. Maybe a tension, a holding. And falling back again in your normal breathing. Or maybe in a moment of stillness. And I would like to make another suggestion, is connect for a moment to a place in your life where you have been, where you felt good, a feel-good place. Of yourself, or with someone else. And just have a look at that place. Look around, what you see, what you notice, what you smell, what you hear. And maybe you walk around or touch. And just feel what that is doing to you, how it is, what it does to you. How you can use it as a support place for yourself. And then in a minute, would like to Ask you to come slowly back in the place you're in right now, in your own rhythm. And then maybe when you open your eyes and feel for a moment the space you're in, the room, the light, how is your perception? And then slowly coming back in and see if there's something that you would like to share, or something that came up, or maybe another question that you met.
Well, it was very, very deep. So,
Mm-hmm.
so Alessia thinks she's saying, I feel much more grounded now.
Okay. Yes, with much more space inside. So it's interesting, when you feel grounded, it opens, huh?
More peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Shown. Peaceful, grounded in my heart. This is Daniela.
Daniela.
And Dominica, silence. She feels silence.
Good.
And grateful.
Yes.
I'm grateful too. I can breathe. It's like my lungs are doubled.
Yes. So it's a bit of rolfing, distant.
Okay, let me check. There are some questions here. There is
Okay.
Fulvio saying, I realized I just followed my instinct, a basic natural state of existence.
Natural state of existence. Yeah.
And Alessia, Elena, sorry, she's saying the moment of stillness, breathing in and out, was similar to the border between body and outer world.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yeah. So that those breathing, those stillnesses, those moments of between out and in breath, or in breath and out breath, are very helpful, because it's kind of the opening, seeing the light through the crack, so to speak.
Okay. I think that's it on the questions.
Wonderful. I wish I could have seen all of you while you were meditating, and I hope maybe another time that we can all do all of this for real. And
So Lopa, she's saying, or he's saying, it was really beautiful to have a moment to feel the space inside and all it holds. Thank you, Bert. And also Sean is thanking you for your beautiful words. And thank you also. It was wonderful. It was really wonderful being with you.
okay.
What do you think? We are.
John. Hello, John.
John.
He's from Holland.
Ah, great.
Yeah. He's in training in the Rolf Institute, but very much interested in the guild.
Well, let's not make fights on school. We love all the schools, regardless.
Yes, visit.
I mean, this has been a lovely reminder to find a presence as we are all in the free fall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We're all in the free fall. So no crack. No worry, no fear. Okay.
The Gaia from Poland, she's saying, thank you. The sun in Poland is much warmer now.
Okay. We also in Holland, we have some sun, but it's cold, but it's nice. From Darren. Tamara.
Bert, your words may move my breath to let my fascia change in the space. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay.
And Anya, thank you also for this helpful meditation. This is crazy time here. Also, Tamara is thanking you.
Yeah, I thank you all for having given me the opportunity to share a few ideas that I, hold dearly in myself, and I love to share it. And that's what I did also, and will do in the trainings with Aleš, in Milan and Warsaw and Prague, and hope that the trainings will kind of, the time will change, and that we have the possibility to do the trainings and deepen our work.
Well, thank you, Bert, for this wonderful hour we spent together.
Okay, because
I think we have to say goodbye. It's hard in this moment to. It's like I feel like we're to closing this without cutting it's quite difficult. But I mean, we keep on breathing.
Things continue. Yes. And it's good that we support each other, and knowing that we all sort of a little bit in retreat and maybe worry about many things about our work and all that. But we will, I think if we can link into this space, we can also find nourishment for our worries, because that will, it's not about taking it away, but dealing with it. Dealing with our worries. It's not like don't have them, but let's be open with it. Yeah.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Ciao, guys.